Hey guys, Ngiyana and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So today I am going to be talking about um, something that I was just thinking about today and how the Lord made me humble and how the Lord humbled me into seeing other people's perspective and also seeing other people's um, life's perspective and not just the one that I had in my mind. So, yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this video. So, I don't really know how to title the video, but today, as I was just walking around in town because I went to town, I was just looking at how good God is, and really, this thought came from how God humbled me with my second pregnancy, right? And okay, so I fell pregnant, just a little background. I fell pregnant with my second child when I was in varsity doing my third year, which was in 2018, right? And I guess before that, I had it's not only the pregnancy, but just how you can be in a certain setting in life and you can view things in a certain kind of light, and you can also just be kind of judgmental towards other people in a way. And so having gone through what I went through really changed my perspective when it comes to life and just viewing other people as well and the different kinds of situations that people go through in life. So you know how you can be like in varsity. When I was in varsity, right? Because I'm sharing my own story here. When I was in varsity, I had like this kind of view of how my life was gonna work out, and I was gonna get the degree, I was gonna get the job, and etc. So, but after falling pregnant, I guess God took me through this whole process of really just seeing things from a different kind of view, and that really humbled me as a human being. I'm not saying I was prideful, I was a prideful person, but you can have certain views about life and which are not really realistic in a way. um, and I don't know how to say this, but it can come from a place of seeing things in one view, like in only just one perspective. If it's not that way, then it doesn't make sense to you. You know what I mean? So, yeah, and just viewing people from a point of view of saying why would that person work such a job? They should go to school. They should, you know, get certain kinds of, education for them to actually um, get a certain kind of pay. You know what I mean? So I guess with the process that I've gone through of working the kind of job that I work now, being in a restaurant, I've worked restaurants before, but it really wasn't in a black community kind of setting where I could view all kinds of narratives, you know what I mean? And also it was more of like a holidays kind of job. It wasn't like a permanent thing. I'm not saying where I am is permanent because it definitely isn't. But I guess you could view things in a one narrative kind of view, you know what I mean? Like oh, why is she cleaning toilets? Shouldn't she be doing something else with her life? Didn't she get like an opportunity to go to school? You know what I mean? Like, those are the types of views that I had about certain people. And I would just kind of like look at them funny. Even though I didn't voice that out, but in my head it just didn't make sense. I remember having this conversation with this friend of mine in school, and I was just like, but it's more of like a, I'm gonna get to the spiritual part of it. I'm just like laying the foundation. And so I was just talking to my father today, and I was like, okay, my stepdad. And I was just sharing how grateful I am that God actually took me through that whole journey of having to struggle, having to struggle financially, having to struggle to a point where you really did not know, even though God was very faithful, and God was like, there's never been a day where I went to bed hungry or my child was not provided for, and that was totally and completely because of God. But there's no but really. So, and one event in your life can completely change how you view things and view people. And it's one of those things that I'm really grateful that I went through, because it humbled me. It also made me see people's reality in a different kind of perspective and not be judgmental towards them. And yeah, man, just one of the things that I'm also really grateful for is the relationship that I have with God now. If not for anything else or anything more, it's the fact that through that whole experience, God really taught me that He was my one person that I could depend on when it came to things like finances, not knowing how things were going to work out, and really just relying on Him, right? And yeah, and going through that process, I remember you know, going, past 6 months of my pregnancy, I was really just worried about how am I going to provide for this child. I didn't even know if I was even going to be able to provide for the child, but God really came through by using certain people that were in the church setting at the time in school, and He provided for me exactly the things that I was wondering and even thinking about, and even more. So having to work in a restaurant in my own community, not in a white setting, it really, just not only that, but different kinds of experiences that I've had to go through, where even I felt like I didn't have the support that I needed from my family sometimes, and God still provided people for me that were going to be emotionally supportive towards me. Some of them I still have in my life, and some of them seasons have changed, and God has brought me different people, because that's how God works. He's a God that provides for us when we move from one season to the next. And having gone through a time where I really had to compromise, not my faith, of course, but compromise a lot of things that I believe in. Because going through my pregnancy, I was like, okay, since the dad is not gonna be involved, I was like one of those angry baby mamas. I was like, okay, he's not, if he doesn't want to be involved during the pregnancy, I don't want him in my baby's life. But God really changed my perspective of that it wasn't only just about me. I guess this is also a message to those moms that are feeling like, okay, I'm going through this alone, and if the father is not going to be involved, then I might just cut him off completely. I remember there were times where I felt like that, and God was like, no, this is not about you, it's about the child. And I actually had to go through a season of just really having to humble myself, where I felt like I could have just walked away, but God, would remind me that the child really needs their dad in their life. It wasn't an easy journey, but God worked it out for my good, and a whole lot of other stuff. But overall, the main thing that I can really say is the fact that God, um, also another point that I wanted to make, which is like I think is the most important points that I could actually make in this video, is the fact that it is truly important when we are, as Christians mostly, when we are walking with God, to not lean on our own understanding, because I think that that is one of the reasons why God took me through a season of chastisement, right? I'll put a verse that actually links to that right below in the description box, where God is actually saying, "No, no, no, don't do things your own way. You have to listen to me when I say don't do certain things, because this is where you will land." But it could have turned out for the worst if I was actually not walking with God, but God worked it out for my good. And so I was just reading like a devotion the other day which had that verse, and the person was really just trying to say that when God takes us through a season of chastising us and actually putting us back on track with Him, it hurts Him more that He does that to us than it will to us, right? It's like when you have a father that loves their kids, when they do something wrong, you obviously want to give them a spank, but it hurts the dad more that they have to spank the kid, more than it will hurt the kid that they got the spank, right? So it was really just going through a season where I felt most of the time like, okay, God, I get it. Like, I messed up. I had another kid out of wedlock, but can we just get out of this, you know, this whole situation? Like, get me out of the situation. I know I messed up. But God had to take me through that process because I had to learn not to do things my own way, even though I have messed up after that. But God really took me through a season of really just having to rely on Him, even when it comes to the relationships parts, because I think that's like the part that we really just hide away from Him. And it does play like a major role in our lives, where even we find ourselves having children with the wrong people. But like, not to say they're wrong as in like they're the worst sinners or whatever, they're like the worst people, but like in saying they're not in alignment with the will that He has for us, right? So yeah, man. So having gone through that season of like really feeling the spank or the spanks, but I really thank God because it took me through a season of having to develop a closer relationship with Him, um a more intimate relationship with Him, where I really felt His presence in my life, where I really felt Him speaking to me in an audible voice, like you would to the person sitting next to you, as if you were having a conversation with a physical being, but it's God, you know what I mean? And He really opened my eyes to view people from not only just this commercial kind of, system that we live in, like I don't even know, I don't have the words right now, but to view people as His people, and whatever season that a person is going through, not to be easily judgmental because you don't know what the person is going through. And yeah, that's it. I guess this is it for this video. And yeah, and just to say that God is faithful, whatever you're going through, even if it's having a kid again, maybe for the first time or the second time or whatever time, that God still loves you and He is still your Father who cares. And if you just trust Him, He will be with you through that situation or whatever else, whatever kind of situation. It doesn't only have to be just pregnancy, or if you know that you've done something that is completely out of the will of God, just seek Him and He is faithful to carry you through. uh, that whole dilemma, right? So I will see you guys on the next video. If you're interested in any of the verses that I have spoken of, paraphrased, I will leave them down in the description box down below. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye. Oh, and I just want to say, like, as a close off, that God is faithful. He will restore whatever you think that you have lost. It might not come back the way that you had it before, but He's a faithful Father. And just trust Him with the healing process and whatever else that you need to go through with Him. So, again, see you guys on the next one. Bye.